Hello. I'm so excited. Welcome to the very first episode of Between You and Mik. I would like to preface it took me a very long time to get these lights and microphone and camera set up. Longer than it should have, especially since the equipment's not that complicated. There's literally tutorials all over the internet. But yeah, it took me much longer than it should have. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. This is brand new. You guys have no idea what you're walking into. I have a feeling the only person watching right now is my mom. But if you're not my mom, hi, my name is Michaela. I go by Mik, Kayla, KK, whatever you choose to call me, whatever you want, boo. I feel like I have a lot of explaining to do as to why I'm starting this podcast. So I think this episode is just laying the groundwork, kind of explaining who you're going to be watching if you choose to stay. If you don't, hey, I get it. This setup isn't really what I would love to be. This setup isn't exactly what I envisioned when I decided to start this. Of course, everyone wants like that big, nice setup, that big podcast setup. My dream, literally, I already have dreams about what my dream podcast setup would be. It's very similar to The Basement Yard. I watch The Basement Yard every single day, practically. It has become my background noise. That's not nice to say. Actually, that's probably kind of offensive to them. I now put that on in my car other than music. I don't know what it is. It's just like listening to if they were my older brothers just arguing all day long and I'm listening to their voicemails. That's how I envision the basement yard. So, how did I get on that tangent? Oh, I like their setup. Is all I was going to say. Yeah, it looks like there's not a lot going on. This pillow does not match my bedspread at all. And I do have pictures up here that you cannot see. I actually have a really cute shelf of all the little things. Maybe I'll insert like a picture right here. I do have like a cute shelf set up above my head. I don't have a headboard, by the way. I realize that is very frat boy behavior. Listen, I'm only going to be in this apartment for a few more months. There's a couple issues with me having the space to do the things I want, and one of them is having an actual bed frame. I live in a 500 square foot, probably less. I think it's like 480 something. I want to say it's like 487 square foot, a studio apartment in Denver that I pay far too much money for. For what I am getting, for the fact that I can't have a bed frame. These are my dressers. You guys are just faced the other way. This is like a divider into the living room you can't see. That is what I'm working with. But I actually have my apartment decorated kind of cute. Maybe one day I'll show you. I highly doubt it because I don't think, for one, I don't think I'm going to be recording in this spot all the time. I might because, like, the mic setup, it doesn't matter. You guys don't care about that. Point being, I'll get my footing on where I actually want to be filming a little bit more as I get a little bit more comfortable doing this. But it it worked out, okay? I'm just going to chill, hang out here. I think what I like the most about maybe changing my location of where I'm going to be doing this podcast every week. I can't say that, but like maybe sometimes I'll do it from my couch. I really like filming in my car as well. I think part of my idea of, well, here's kind of the premise of this podcast that I can kind of tell you. I like to be the person somebody can face call. I like to be the person somebody can FaceTime. I could be anywhere, but I am so interested in what's going on in your life that I want to hear about it right then and there. So imagine you're calling me. I'm not going to be doing I don't answer the phone in the shower. I didn't need to say that, but like realistically, I will answer the phone just about anywhere I am to hear what my friends have to say. And if you're here now, we're friends now. It's just how it works. I don't make the rules. But yeah, my whole idea behind this podcast is actually, do I want to start with that or do I just want to tell you how I got here first and then yeah, let's do that. I'm going to start how I got here. What am I doing that I decided that another podcast, needed to come into this world? And why do I think my idea is so good? My idea is fine. This is all for me. This is very much for me and wanting to start a journey of, well, for what, actually, I keep rambling. We're going to jump right into it, okay? Just a little bit about myself. I am in my mid 20s. I am currently jobless. I don't have a job. It's by choice, actually. It is by choice, but I don't like telling people I don't have a job because it sounds like I'm a bum. I am not. I just happen to be in a fortunate enough situation that I can take some time off. And I've only been unemployed. I'm not going to put air quotes around being unemployed because I am unemployed. And I've only been without a job for like a month now. So it hasn't been that long. It's felt like an eternity though when I don't leave my house. I don't do anything. Another huge fact that I will bring up time and time again. Very, I am a very anxious person. I have been shitting my pants at the fact that I'm going to be doing this and people I know are going to see it. And if you are somebody I know, please don't perceive me at all. Don't watch it. You can watch it, just don't tell me about it, you know? But I have been losing my mind a little bit. But I think, honestly, I'm in a better headspace now than the last job I had. I have worked in childcare for a very long time. That's not like one of my only jobs. To me, I remind myself of Trish. Is that her name? I think that's her name. It started with a T. Trish from Austin and Ally. How she would show up every episode being like, guess who's this? Guess who's that? Like, that's how I feel. Because I feel like I've had a lot of jobs and I've been working since I was 14, probably 15. My first job was Taco Bell. That fucking sucked. I actually don't think I ever quit Taco Bell. I think I just stopped showing up. Irrelevant, sort of. I'm sure I'll talk about that again because I often forget that I worked there. But I've worked in childcare for a very long time. I was a nanny for a couple years. I've worked in daycares, and the last childcare facility that I worked at, I'm not going to go into details about it, but it was like a very high stress job. It wasn't like a traditional like childcare center. It focused on children with autism. The kids were not the problem. The adults were. And the corporation. That's like it's a whole other thing we don't need to get into. But for the past year or so, I've always known that, for one, I wanted to be more creative. And to give a little background into this, I have a photography degree that I essentially got. I graduated in, ooh, do I want to tell you when I graduated high school? No, I don't. When I graduated, I decided not to go to a traditional college. I did online college. It was fine. I got what I needed out of it. It wasn't a big deal. But once I started like dipping my toes into wanting to do photography and all this other stuff, the pandemic started. So just how it ruined a lot of things for other people, it kind of ruined that for me as well. I just went to what I knew best, which was childcare. Well, that's not true. I also have worked in like, actually, this is kind of important. I've worked in like concerts and events and really just the events world for a few years on top of that too. I was a supervisor in that world for a very long time. And that, like, I think that was the first time I really knew like I wanted to make videos. I wanted to be a presence online. I never really knew what I wanted to do. So, for a long time, I was just I'm going to sneeze. Shit. Side note, I also have cat hair everywhere. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Ew, I didn't cover my mouth. I'm alone, I guess. I've had a shit ton of caffeine today. It is, what time is it? 8:30. Oh my god, it's 8:30. And I am currently still sipping on not a Dr. Pepper, a Diet Coke. Idiot. Okay. What was I saying before I sneezed? I have cat hair all over me, so that's like half of my battle right now, so I probably will sneeze again. You don't need to hear every time I sneeze though, so I'll Save you the trip. What the fuck was I saying? Caffeine, cat hair. No. Oh, during that time where I knew I wanted to be more creative, TikTok was really blowing up at that time. It was still relatively new. So I started posting videos, and I will be completely honest. 90% of them were thirst traps. That's what my TikTok is right now, by the way. But people would engage. This is not the account I had back then, and I'll tell you why. I was like posting daily. I was really dedicated to like posting at least like 2 or 3 videos a day. Um a few people were starting to like repost and recognize my videos. Like it was a lot of fun, and I was having fun. But unfortunately, the people in my life at that point in time were not, how do I put this? They just fucking sucked. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. I would post these videos, and then a few minutes later, I would get a link to my new video in the group chat, and everyone's just making fun of me for 20 minutes. So, already having the anxiety I did at that point, I hated being perceived, for one. I hated being made fun of, but I think that one's pretty understandable. And it just like, I kept getting told that it was stupid. It wasn't like, it was childish to be posting videos. It was childish to kind of dream about being on that side of the internet. I don't even want to say influencer. That's not even my goal at the end of the day. It's just, I have always loved the idea of doing something I wanted to do, and that was my way into it. But unfortunately, at the time, I, for one, wasn't emotionally mature enough to stand up for myself, and two, I was just too embarrassed to continue doing it. I deleted my TikTok account, which sucked. It wasn't a huge account. It was only like 10K followers, I think, by the time I deleted it, which I should have just like, if anything, if I was still stuck on like my friends finding my videos or something like that, I should have just privated them and let the account go dormant or something. But no, I deleted my whole TikTok. That was really the last time I even tried. Until my situation changed a little bit. I just was so embarrassed to basically do what I want to do, which I'll say this. If anybody makes you feel shitty for doing something you want to do and you're very excited about it, whether that be make videos, write stories, whatever you're into, and someone shames you for that, not a good friend. And I do realize that now. I'm a little bit older. That was about 5 years ago. No, was that 5 years ago? Oh my God, it was. Oh, I'm old. Oh my God. Ew. Ew. I just thought about that further. Anyways, we're moving on from that. But I continue down this path of like, I just gotta make it through. Like, I've always known what I wanted to do. Like, I knew I needed to be in a creative space, but as somebody who has as bad of anxiety as I do and did, I want to put more emphasis on did, because it was definitely worse back then, and I did not have coping skills that I do now for my anxiety. It just never felt possible for me to be in a creative space, for me to make these videos, or even be ambitious enough to start my own show. It felt like something I needed to put on the back burner, and I never knew what I was waiting for my circumstances to change, or like to get more money. So I completely forgot about it. I never had my eyes on any other career though. And listen, it's very ambitious of me to say I am making this my career, but fuck yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I want to make this my career. That is the goal by the end of time, that I make an impact somehow, and this can be something I can do full time, you know? Whether that pans out in the near future or not, we will see, but I'm very hopeful about it. I keep interrupting myself, but I continue to keep jumping around because I just feel like this is important to like why I'm talking about this, I promise. A lot of shit went down in like a 2-3 year period. A lot of stuff changed in my life. My anxiety got this is really the home hitting point for me. My anxiety got to the point where I was having panic attacks daily. I could not go socialize with anybody. I couldn't leave my house unless it was to go to the job I had at the time. At that time, I was a nanny. This was about, we're coming up on almost 2 years ago now. It's been about a year and a half, but I won't, like, I really do want to dive deep one day into like that whole period of time for myself. I'll spare you the details of like what happened between that time. It wasn't good. That's what I'll tell you right now. It was not good, but I just felt like I was at this low rock bottom point. I was in a career I didn't want to be in forever. I did not feel like myself. I had no friends. I just felt like I was a walking shell, essentially. Damn, this is kind of deep for a first episode, but you asked. You've stayed this long. Why am I being mean to you? I don't know. So, in that time, like once I started, I went back to therapy for one. I went to therapy. I got better and I am getting better every single day. I just had this perspective on life in a very different way. And I'm not old. I feel like I'm old. I'm not that old. I'm still in my 20s. But after that period of time where like I was starting to come out of this really bad anxiety, I was just kept having the thought like you were wasting a lot of time. You were wasting a lot of potential. You're basically wasting your time on jobs that do not matter to you with people you do not care about and do not care about you. Why are you doing this? So, and that was still a while ago. And considering I told myself at the beginning of this year, by my birthday, I would have had this podcast started, it didn't pan out that way, okay? I still needed income. I still needed a job. But in between, like the few jobs I had between then and now, I kept trying to be like, okay, I'll make time for myself after work to film this video. I'll really crack down this weekend and film 3 videos and then I can post them throughout the week. That never happened. Um, I will talk about the job that 2 jobs that I had before I decided to be unemployed. The first one, well, let me back up a little bit. There's one set of nanny families that I loved so, so dearly. I was with them for about a year and a half. They were the most amazing people in the fucking world. I still see them a lot. I still see the kids quite a bit. They're not the ones I'm talking about here. There is another family that I was unfortunate enough to meet. And I won't go into too many details because I am vaguely afraid they will find me. They're kind of scary fucking rich people, okay? So I had a little bit of time off between my favorite nanny job and this job where I was too nervous to like really sit down and make content, but I had like 2 months off in between. I was like, okay, I just need to find a job and then I'll crack down on doing the things I want to do. Did not happen. What ended up happening is I was verbally abused by this family. I was physically abused by the children. And it's a stretch to say a child physically abuses you. No, these kids were mean. They were mean. They were scary mean. Oh my god. Like the worst story I can tell you right now, and I promise we'll get back into like what the fuck we're doing. But one of the worst stories was I was this family's like household manager. I handled like just practically everything on top of watching the kids that I was watching. And I was responsible of getting them to soccer practice. I was responsible for getting them to swim practice and like whatever activity they were doing. This family ran on like a military schedule as well. Like when I say, which to each their own, I am not a parent. I have no children. If this is how you raise your kids, fine. But my God, it was a bit much. Like And it affected my relationship with the kids because they didn't know me. They didn't like that I was enforcing these rules on them. One thing they had though was in front of their house, the mom, not in front of their house, like in their walkway, like their entry room, mom made me create a after school schedule for them. When I say it was like 3:30, come inside, take shoes off and put shoes away. 3:38, not 3:30, 3:35. Go sit in the library and read silently for 15 minutes. These kids were 5, just turned 5 when I started at this job. It didn't work, but I was there to just help the family. And if you are a nanny, if you've worked in that world, sometimes pick your battles. And especially as a new person in the job, I wasn't going to question too much about the way mom wanted things ran. I just kind of had to run with it. But of course, like I ended up saying something like, I don't think this is working. I think it's a bit too strenuous on them, especially with them being in school all day, yada, yada, yada. She didn't like that. She didn't listen. But the worst story was that one day it was 3 kids. I was taking the kids to swim practice. We go to swim practice. It goes remotely fine. So it was 3 kids. One of them, I think, did like me. The other 2, I do not think likes me at all. They were the ones that pushed my buttons. They were the ones that wanted me to suffer, and it was very blatant. Like, I would hear them have conversations being like, we are not going to listen to her. We do not like her. She needs to go. They had just lost their, like, long-term nanny. Oh my god, there's so many stories I could tell literally as I'm sitting here. This job was fucking crazy. I want to get into like what I am talking about. So I think we're going to come back to this in a later episode, maybe like a full job dedicated episode. But for one, when we were leaving swim practice, one of the kids who was like the leader of the group decided to run in the parking lot. I was holding literally mounds of swim stuff for 3 kids. I had to drop all of it. I ran across the parking lot because a car was coming and I grabbed the kid and like moved them back. It wasn't hard or anything. This led to one of the worst tantrums I had ever seen in my life. I had worked in childcare. I used to work as a toddler teacher. This is the biggest meltdown I've ever seen in my life. I'd really like to preface too, I do not blame the kids in this situation. I think you know where I'm going with that, but I'll bite my tongue. I am fighting these kids into the car. The kid that I was fighting was still in a car seat at this point. So I'm trying to get them buckled. I'm like, so imagine this is the front driver's seat. I'm right here. The kid's right here in the car seat, like flailing and just like not wanting to be buckled. And I was like, just I'm a very even tone person when it comes to kids. I have a very level head. I have always been that's honestly another one of my talents is I can't wait to have kids because I feel like I'm very even keel and can handle a lot of things. This I could not handle. So I'm already starting to get frustrated. They're flailing. I was like, okay, let's take a breath. I'm like trying to talk this kid down, just being like, I understand you're upset. We're gonna go home, but you need to listen to me. Like that's my big point. There's like, you can't run in the parking lot. You're going to get squished like a bug. And of course, they're not listening. They're screaming. So in the middle of me trying to like calm them down, I kind of reach out to like try to rub the side of their arms. This kid, I don't have shoes on, so I don't know if I'll do it. This kid sits in their seat, like grips the sides and goes, wait, I gotta move the mic. Don't look at my feet too hard. The kid looks me dead in the eyes and goes, boom, straight to my nose. My head hit that car, the driver's seat, so hard it like shook the car. My nose starts gushing blood immediately. I have not ever been injured to the point where my nose bled like that. I've been kicked. I've been bitten. I have been scratched. I've been yelled at by children. It happens, they're kids. But to be WWE kicked in the face, that was a new one for me. And it hurt so fucking bad. I, to this day, think that was probably one of the most painful things I have been through, other than, like, you know, breaking my toe. I got a lot of stories, y'all. If you haven't figured that out yet, I got stories upon stories. There's a reason I'm here, I promise. Yeah, that was the most painful thing in the world. And I was fucking pissed. I was so over it. I was already getting mistreated by mom and dad. I was getting mistreated by the kids. I had only been in that position for like 4 weeks at that point. 4 weeks, a month. And this was when I just remember in that moment, I took a second to not sit there and scream. I stepped out of the car, took a second. I kind of stood on the side of the car. The kids were dead silent in the car. And I think that's how they knew they fucked up. Mostly the one that I'm talking about. They knew they fucked up. Yeah, I actually don't know if I'm the first nanny they made bleed, but hey, sorry to whoever their nanny is now. Jesus Christ, I do not miss that job. But I stood at the side of the car and I just remember thinking, being like, you fucking hate this. Why are you doing this? Why are you here? This is fucking ridiculous. And oh, well, the cherry on top was like, I called mom and I was like trying to calm myself. Well, first things first, I try to calm myself down from having like that thought of being like, you're quitting right now. You need to go. I tried really hard and I was like, it's okay. Like, you're going to go home. You're going to talk to mom about it. There are going to be repercussions for being kicked in the face, whatever they may be, however reasonable mom sees fit for this child being punished for it. I don't know. But I was like, it's okay. You gotta just take him home. You have like 3 hours left on this shift. The cherry on top in this situation was I called mom after I calmed down a little bit, after my nose stopped bleeding. I still had blood all over my face. We're also in like this parking lot for it. Like they had swim lessons at a retirement home. So I had like 3 old women watching from their balcony, me bleeding and not yelling, but I was like frustrated. Kind of just like standing there like I'm ready to kill someone. I'm not a very intimidating person. I'm 5 foot. So really, it just kind of looks like a child got beat up in the parking lot, which I kind of did. Anyways, I'm calling mom and she picks up and I said, hey, it's going to take us a little bit longer to get home. Here's the situation that just happened. I am doing my best. The kid is calming down a little bit. I just want you to know I think there needs to be a conversation with them when I get home because this is unsafe and I'm hurt. She takes the most gigantic pause I've ever heard somebody on the side of the phone. I thought she hung up. I thought I lost connection. She took a massive pause. I was just waiting it out. And then she goes, what did you do to piss off my child that badly? Doesn't ask if I'm okay. Isn't concerned with the fact that their child ran into the parking lot without me being near. When we literally, for 2 weeks straight before this, mom was with me for literally a week and a half. Like, I understand the parents kind of wanted being around the first few days so you kind of get to know what their routine is and stuff. Mom was around all the time. Mom was a micromanager. And we used to practice, like, how to walk in parking lots because it was 3 kids. She thought I was incompetent, I now realize. So, for me, telling her that her child, when disobeyed my authority, I don't think I'm fucking God, but if I'm in charge of your kids, I'm going to try to keep them safe. And I hope a normal family would have recognized that, being like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, are you good? Let's talk about it when you get home. That would have been a fine response. And if there was like maybe things I could have done better, sure. And I would have gladly discussed that with her in like a normal manner. But the first thing that came to her mind was, how did you piss off my child for you to deserve getting kicked in the face? And it was the way she said it too. It was so very much like, well, that's your fucking fault. What'd you do? Hey, your kid should not be kicking anybody in the fucking face. Hello? So I'm instantly pissed again. And then I proceeded to cry for 2 weeks straight. Other things that happened. I told myself I was going to quit, and then I felt bad because obviously, if you're a nanny, you're the only person. And quitting on the spot is like a very big, at least morally for me, it was a massive no no. But I couldn't do it anymore. And that was like, that's the reason I brought this up, is because that was really the first time I was like, I need to start pursuing social media more. I need to start pursuing and thinking about ideas of what I want to be doing, what's going to be, I guess, my niche on the internet. So I gave myself a little bit more time. I did finally quit. I then again was unemployed for a little bit, but pay way too much rent in Denver, need a job. Also, I would like to address, for one, there is, like I said, cat hair all over my shirt, but I am wearing this shirt that says Bada Bing's House of Burlesque. I got this shirt from my mother, my sweet Catholic little mom. I think it's really funny. And I haven't worn it in a while, so that's what I'm wearing today. I feel like I kind of look a little awkward. I'm sitting in jeans on my bed, which I also don't love, but it doesn't matter. So I took some more time. I really got together what, and originally it wasn't a podcast idea. I thought I was going to make like these short form videos either on TikTok or maybe just like post more traditionally on YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching this on my YouTube, that's fine, but I my true thought process was, during all this, I was really prioritizing my mental health for the first time in my life in a very, very long time. Like I said, I went through some crazy things that I will get into. Wait, no, that sounds crazy. How do you say that? What was I trying to say? Nothing is getting into you. I'm sorry. What I was trying to say was, there's a lot of different stories that I will get into one day with you. That's how you say that. Fuck. Okay. And I honestly, for one, that whole situation was probably one of the first situations I had stood up for myself in fucking years. In years. So I was kind of like liberated with myself. Wait, is that the right word too? I say things sometimes and then I have to track back, being like, is that the word I should have used? I should keep a dictionary by me a lot. I don't. I think, well, like I said, I was prioritizing myself a lot more, and it kind of clicked with me like, that's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to dive into. I'm not the first person to talk about mental health, okay? I understand that. I understand there is a lot of different perspectives on anxiety, depression, or just mental health in a whole. And it's not really like a secluded niche of being in your 20s and dealing with these things. There are a lot of amazing creators that I watch that talk about their experiences with anxiety and depression too. Like, that's not anything new. But I also think back on like watching those creators, they got me through those really hard moments. One of my favorites is Madeline RG. I love her. I think she is one of the funniest people I've ever seen on the internet. Also, one of the prettiest people I've ever seen on the internet. I love her. So watching her videos was just like something that got me through that, amongst many other creators. I think the big thing for me was like, I want to make an impact the way they made an impact on me. My stories are definitely different. I think that's the beauty of it too. Everyone's anxiety is not one and the same. Yes, a lot of people have anxiety. Yes, a lot of people go through the same things with anxiety. But I think talking about the specific moments and like how you work through them is what really interests me. That's how I look crazy right now. I gotta sit up. Is that better? Please don't look at my dogs. I do have my toes painted right now, but I really should have put on socks. It's not what this channel is for. That's fucking crazy. As I'm telling you about my severe anxiety and depression, I'm talking about my dogs. Sorry. Anyways, but that was the first time it really clicked for me. Like, that's what I want to do. How am I going to do it? What's going to be my first video? This is not my first attempt of filming anything, my friends. I think, let me count. I want to say there's at least 6 different full-length YouTube videos, all about 45 minutes long, may like a little more, little less each, that I sat down, recorded, edited. 2 I actually posted, and it just never felt right. For one, I was still scared of what people would think about me, which sucked. But the other half, it just never felt very authentic to who I was. There was one video that I put on all this makeup, which I would like to say, this is my makeup that I put on at 8 o'clock this morning. It's just like a little skin tint, a little mascara, a little blush. It held so well. I was not planning on redoing my makeup, and I didn't for this video. It held up well, y'all, and I'm really impressed with myself. But for my other videos, I like put on this full beat that I never wear. I literally looked up like contouring tutorials before I filmed those videos, and like putting on these like outfits I never wore, and then it was so scripted that I felt like a fucking robot. And yeah, sure, like my editing, that's something I will attribute, like, and I don't think I'll really display it here because obviously a podcast is very much, it's more relaxed than like a sat down edited YouTube video. The editing was fine. That wasn't the problem, I don't think. It just never felt like me, and it felt so scripted. It felt like an infomercial being like, hey, I'm sad too. You want to know more about that? Which is kind of the premise of this too, but this felt very authentic to me. I like the fact that I can just sit down with you guys week to week, tell you some stories. I do have a few episodes planned of what I want to talk about. It's not going to be all heavy shit all the time. I think some of it will be storytelling. I would love, 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 after maybe a few videos and seeing how things go, I would love to start an advice column. That's that's always been my dream. Like, I don't know what about that specifically excites me so much. I just love hearing people's situations. And that's what I was saying in the beginning of like the FaceTime aspect of this, and just kind of making this seem like you're on FaceTime with an older sister. That's the vibe I want to give off. I would love to be what, I'm just going to use Madeline RG as an example because I already listed her. How her videos impacted me, I would love for that to be me for you. I could have said that in an easier way. It's okay. We're moving on. Of course, I'm still young. I don't have all the answers, but I do think I've learned a lot about myself and kind of how that feeling of your anxiety taking over your life. While, like I said, there's a lot of people that do talk about it, I think it's so important to hear a lot of different people's stories. Not everyone's story is the same. I would love the idea of an advice column one day and you guys just submitting what you're going through, a fucking funny story. We'll get there. That's being very ambitious, but I am very ambitious about this because I'm excited to talk to you guys. I'm excited to be here. Of course, this is my first episode. I probably should have structured it a little bit more, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But what I was getting to was, I don't think it's going to be, these big, heavy chats every week. I don't like that vibe either. That's not who I am. I definitely do add humor into situations that probably don't call for humor. I think a lot of people cope that way, but I also like talking about the serious stuff, the stuff nobody really wants to talk about. I am being vague, but I promise you'll kind of understand the vibe when I get into the next episode. I got a lot going on in this brain. I understand why my first idea was to start a podcast, but now I'm thinking about, how did everyone else start their podcast? It has to be the same. Being like, people need to hear what I need to say. I'm gonna run with it because I think confidence is key, and I'm trying to be a lot better about that. So I think, if anything, I can relate to one person. I met my goal. Other than my mother. I love my mom, but I think she just tells me I'm right to make me feel better about myself. I love you, Mom. But if I help one person, if I have one person relate to a terrible story that happened to me, or something really dumb I did and now I kind of have an answer for it and they needed that answer, that's my dream. I don't have a little sibling. I think that might be another part of it too, and I just kind of thought about that. I am the youngest in my family. I say that, and I have a twin sister. She is 6 minutes older than me. We've never really considered like each other like older or younger. Obviously, it's facts. I'm the younger twin, but I don't call her my older sister. She's my twin sister. I'm sure she might actually say different, but she never pulls the when I was your age, like, which I appreciate. I think I probably would have roundhoused her more than I had as a child. I always wanted a little sibling though. My parents were on the older side when they had us, so like to get twins on your last go around of kids is kind of like one and done situation. So yeah, I never got that. I do have a lot of nieces and nephews though, and like I said, I work with kids constantly. It worked out. Maybe I could be your older sister. You know what that just reminded me of? The way I said that was Dylan from Modern Family. I watched that a lot. That is one of my comfort shows. I watch it religiously. I have seen it many of times. And I hate Dylan with a burning passion, and I just felt like him when I said that right now. I kind of hope that gave you the gist of who I am, why I'm here. I ended up kind of going on a rant about childcare, but I do have an episode planned where I really want to dive deep into like all the crazy shit I've dealt with in my jobs. I'm going to boast about myself. I'm very proud that I set this up. I'm very proud that I got all the equipment and I'm committed to giving this a shot. Like I said, whether one person watches it, whether a bunch of people watch it, I'm grateful. I'm also very nervous still, but we persist. We're gonna go over this hill of thinking that some coworker I used to work with is gonna see this and they're going to make fun of me so hard. I really don't care at this point. It could be so much worse. I That's another thing I'm realizing. What is there to be embarrassed about? I'm not hurting anybody. Like, yeah, you can make fun of me, but what's that gonna do? It's just, and that's my advice piece number one. Don't let people stop you from doing what you want to do. And I've done that for far too long. So I think this time actually doing something like this, I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited for you guys to get to know me. I want to get to know you guys as well. This was going to be a little bit longer. I think this is a really good way to wrap it up. I think you guys kind of understand who Michaela is a little bit. Hopefully, you thought this was entertaining. Hopefully, you continue to join me as you guys get to see more sides of me because I tend to overshare, well, mostly to my mirror. But considering a camera is like a mirror, I feel like I'm gonna end up telling you guys far too much about myself. If you're into that kind of thing, it will happen. I think, yeah, I'm gonna end it here, guys. What an amazing first episode. We will see if I'm in the same spot next week. I don't love the fact that it looks like I'm sitting in front of a blank wall right now. Also, these are the backs of my shelves. They're messy. I desperately need to eat dinner too. It's almost 9 p.m. That's not a late time to eat dinner. I'm just exhausted. That was probably the smoothest I've made any sort of content in a very long time. So now I'm drained and need to go take off my face. I need to go to bed. And my cat is coming. You don't want to deal with him. He's a dick. He's the reason I'm full of cat hair. And there's actually, I encourage you to go check out my TikTok. There's a video about my cat Diego of how he bit my face so hard. If you want a little bit more into who I am, go ahead and check out my Instagram and my TikTok. It's all at McTeeny. And you can also follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at Between You and Mik Pod. There's nothing on there yet. There will be after. See, here he is. We gotta go. He's gonna fuck shit up. All right. Bye, guys. Love ya.